We're ready to go. I'd like to say good morning to our customers, staff, and board members, and all our citizens of Chatham County. I would like to thank our CEO for a great ribbon cutting ceremony, her and staff, that we introduce our new electric buses. Time is 10:04. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Beverly, can we do a roll call, please?
Good morning. Yes, sir. Thank you. Director Emerson. He is present. Thank you. Director Odell.
I'm here.
Present. Thank you. Director Stone.
Present.
Thank you. Director Lockett. He's present. Thank you, Director Lockett. Director Adams.
Present.
Thank you. Director Robinson.
Present.
Thank you. Director Leggett.
Present.
Thank you. Director O'Halloran.
Here.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to get approval for the adoption of regular agenda for today, April the 26th. Can we have a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Beverly,
Yes, sir. Thank you. Director Edmiston.
Ty Butler.
Okay. Director Edmiston.
Joined the meeting.
There you are.
Sorry, I was having some sound issues. What did you say, Beverly?
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve today's agenda.
Yes, I moved, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, y'all.
No problem. Director Odell.
Yes,
Director-
yes,
Thank you. Director Stone.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Adams.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Director Leggett.
Yes.
Thank you. Director O'Halloran.
yes.
Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passed.
Thank you. Today, I want to start out with a presentation. We have a resolution in honor of Pete Lakakis and our boardroom dedication. I'd like to read off to you. Whereas the Honorable Pete Lakakis was a Savannah native and a graduate of Savannah High School. Whereas the Honorable Pete Lakakis served with distinction as an officer in the United States Air Force. And whereas the Honorable Pete Lakakis was a lifetime member of St. Paul's Greek Orthodox Church, where he also served as past president. And whereas the Honorable Pete Lakakis co-founded Savannah Response to assist those in the community experiencing personal crisis and to help recover from natural disasters. And whereas the Honorable Pete Lakakis served the people of Chatham County, including the citizens of Chatham County who rely on public transportation for many years. Whereas as many years of service as a City of Savannah alderman and as a member and then chairman of Chatham County Board of Commissions, Pete Lakakis served as chairman of the Chatham Area Transit Authority faithfully, diligently, and tirelessly for 8 years while chairman of the Chatham County Commission. And whereas in 2012, Pete Lakakis was appointed by the Chatham County Commission to the at-large seat on the newly reconfigured Chatham Area Transit Authority Board and was subsequently re-elected as the chairman of Chatham CAT Board, in which office he continued to serve an additional 5 years. Whereas Pete was subsequently reappointed by the Chatham County Commission to the CAT Board at large position, and whereas over a lifetime of achievement in public and community service, Pete Lakakis has consistently been the champion of those in the Chatham County in need of public transportation, always reminding fellow CAT board members, civic leaders, and the public of vast numbers of citizens who rely on public transit services for their jobs, health care needs, shopping necessities, church attendance, and other mobility requirements. And whereas the citizens of Chatham County, including particularly those citizens who transit riders, are greatly in debt to Pete Lukakis for his many years of service to CAT. And whereas Pete Lukakis deserved to be recognized for his lifetime of services to the Savannah and Chatham County communities, and particularly his devotion to public transit. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board recognizes the many years of distinguished service that Pete Lukakis has given for the betterment of transit in Chatham County, including his many years of service on the authority board, and expresses its deep appreciation. Be it further resolved that the board governance room at the Joe Murray Rivers Jr. Intermodal Transit Center be renamed the Pete Lukakis Governance Boardroom. Be it further resolved that a copy of the resolution be entered permanently into the minutes of the authority. And witness whereof I have hereunto to set my hand and cause the seal of Chatham Area Transit Authority, Chatham County, Georgia, to be affixed this 26th day of April 22nd of April 2022. At this time, I'd like to take a motion and get a second to approve this resolution in honor of Pete Lukakis.
So moved.
Second.
Beverly, can you do a vote, please?
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. Director Emerson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director
Thank you.
Goodell? Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Director Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director O'Halloran?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody?
Yes,
Chairman, motion passed unanimous.
thank you. I would like to go into our consent agenda items for the day. Would like to get a motion in a second.
Also move. Second.
I would like to pull item number 2. Not that I have any concern about it, but I just feel like it is a important and large piece of what we're going to be doing the next couple of months and years for the system. And I just think we should, let's pull it, just look at it real quick.
Okay,
And also, I'd just like to point out some corrections to the minutes before we approve them.
Yes.
You want me to do this time, Chairman?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Director.
Okay, and they're just minor things. On page 1, doing the announcement of the chair, the word same should be changed to send greetings. On that same page, we talk about the CEO and the walking during the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and included Mike Becker. I think that should be Mike Becker, B-A-Q-U-E, instead of B-E-C-K-E-R. And at the bottom of page 4, in Mr. Allen's address, we said not unchartered. And I think the not should be eliminated to unchartered.
yes, ma'am.
And on page 6 and page 13, we had a vote of 8-0, and the word unanimously was used. And I think unanimously should be eliminated on pages, vote taken on pages 6 and page 13.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
You're welcome.
And Chairman, we have that noted for the record.
All right, thank you. So we will, we can move on. I can turn the floor over to our CEO, Mr. Maximo, for our consent agenda items.
Chairman Cody, would you like to, we have a motion and a second to approve item 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yes.
Under the
Let's
consent?
get the
Yes, sir.
motion and the vote on those.
Okay.
You should specify that the minutes are being approved as amended.
As amended. Thank you, Mr. Butler. Director Lockett, you made the motion for the consent items. Are you okay with making the motion to accept the amended minutes, the minutes as amended?
Director Lockett?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Beverly, I believe that Director Stone has her hand up.
Director
Yeah,
Stone?
I just want to make one minor change. I know that we talked in the hurricane, it mentions in the hurricanes plan, the Civic Center, and it's my understanding that in the very near future, the Civic Center may not be there. So perhaps it should say Civic Center or designated location.
Let's, Beverly, you have that?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you. Thank you, Director
Thank you.
Stone.
Thank you.
Chairman, if you're okay, I'll do a roll call vote.
Yeah, with the changes, we'd like to go ahead and go into our roll call with acceptance of today's changes.
Okay, thank you. Director Emister,
Yes.
thank you. Director Odell,
Yes.
thank you. Director Stone,
Yes.
thank you. Director Lockett,
Yes.
thank you. Director Adams,
Yes.
thank you. Director Robinson,
Yes.
thank you. Director Leggett,
Yes.
thank you. Director O'Halloran,
Yes.
thank you. And Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Consent items 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 pass. Motion passed.
Thank you. All right, this time I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Massimo for our consent agenda items.
I wanted to, since we have completed consent, I did want to ask a question, Ms. Cutter, since number 2 was removed from consent, will we now take that up as an individual action item?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I will go through there. We have 2 individual action items then that I'll bring up. The first is the COA and TDB Consulting Services, the contract award. I know Director Edminster, you had asked for this to be moved over for individual discussion. The RFP was issued, the issuance was approved by the board back in December. The RFP has moved forward through the procurement process for the consulting services necessary to produce. These are 2 rather fundamental pieces of typical analysis, required analysis that every system does in terms of looking at the operational characteristics, route analysis, and so forth. It will be a foundational part of informing the master transit plan that we will be starting hopefully soon as well. And this is simply the recommendation of award based upon the evaluation committee's understanding of the how well each of these proposals ultimately met our needs. The recommended awarding of the contract, I believe, is to WRA. Yes, approval to award contract to WRA.
Just a couple of questions on it. I looked up WRA. Looks like they have a long history of working in public utilities, also in transit. I believe they also worked on Brunswick County or city transit plan. Brunswick being a much smaller city, but they also have a lot of experience on some larger, much larger statewide transit projects or transit planning, transit strategy. And then I guess my question is, and this comes from, so WRA, they're going to be helping us with laying the foundation for the master transit plan. Will they be the same organization or same group that we work with as we move through the master transit plan? Or is that going to be a different group?
No, sir, not at all. That will be that's a separate RFP that's going out, and it has a very different scope. The COA TDP scope is a very functional sort of basic analysis type of scope of work. A traditional, like I said, this is something that all transit systems do on a very regular basis. If you recall, I believe in the description of ours, the last time we had updated was in 2013 and it was due in 2018. And so we're way past due in just this sort of very basic traditional modeling and analysis and understanding of the operational characteristics and any changes in the system that would impact that. So, but this will be a piece of information, one point of information that will feed into the master transit plan, but the master transit plan has a broader strategic scope than this is just very basic modeling analysis type work.
What kind of questions would they be looking at? Will they be looking at ridership and routes and who lives around those routes? Okay.
That's correct, sir.
And so this will sort of be happening in the background over the next couple of months or so as we get started for the much larger project.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, very cool. All right, I feel much more aware of what what we're voting on. Thank you very much.
Very good. Chairman, would you like to go ahead and take a vote on this matter now?
Yes, we like to do a superset motion in a second for these individual action items. One being COA and two being the security cameras purchase. Do we have a motion in a second?
Are we voting on both of them?
Chairman,
Yes.
Chairman Cody, if it's okay, can
Each
we
one
do?
has to be individual.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do them individually.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We just finished discussion on the COA and the TDP contract award.
Yeah.
I move to approve the COA TDP contract to
Okay.
the WRA.
Thank you. In a second,
Second.
thank you. Chairman, if it's okay, I'll do a roll call vote for that
Yeah,
one
thank
item.
you.
Okay. Director Emister,
Yes, thank you.
thank you. Director Odell,
Yes.
thank you. Director Stone,
Yes.
thank you. Director Lockett,
Yes.
thank you. Director Adams,
Yes.
thank you. Director Robinson,
Yes.
thank you. Director Leggett,
Yes.
thank you. Director O'Halloran,
Yes.
thank you. And Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the contract award to, for the COA and TDP project. And now we can go
Thank
into the security camera system contract award.
Yes, we
Board-
take the motion in a second on that.
The board likely recalls that in some of our previous meetings, we've had a discussion about the status of our security system at both of our facilities and the concerns that we had around that. We also had proposed and we have since requested that we would not move forward with something that was a patch, if you will, or an interim fix. We were proposing to spend a smaller amount of money to just do some basic patchwork to ensure that our cameras stayed up and running until we could do a fuller procurement. We have since that time, and I think based upon some of the comments that we've received from you as board members, done some additional due diligence and have the opportunity to leverage a state contract award to go ahead and do a much more complete, robust, and modern update, very necessary update to our CAT facility security system. It certainly has reached the end of its useful life per the FTA regulations. And we've been, as I said, working to obtain an updated system. In lieu of the emergency procurement item that was presented in committee April 22nd as a temporary solution, we're requesting full replacement of the antiquated system and a desire not to extend the current expensive security services contract award. So this will be not only a much better system, but also a much more cost-efficient system for us as well. And we're very mindful of that as we're moving through the budget process. The cost for this will be covered using FY 21 5307 grant funding with a 20% match from our SPLOST funds. And upon the board of directors approval, we will begin proceeding with the installation of these. If there are any deeply technical questions about the matter, Patrick Fahey, who is our safety, security, and risk management manager, is on with us today and is glad to answer those questions for you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Ashley Goodrich.
Chairman, if we can do a motion
Join the meeting.
and then go into discussion.
Yes, let's get a motion in a second. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Stone. And the floor is open for discussion.
Director Odell has her hands up.
Director Odell, did you have a question?
I do. Are these cameras going to be much more detailed than the others?
Yes, Director.
And will there be audio? Because sometimes the cameras, you can see the blob, but the blob's not clear enough to be any use.
Yes, Director. These cameras, we are looking at purchasing. There's about 7 different types of cameras. At the platform specifically, the cameras will have high resolution recording as well as a zoom feature to allow us to zoom in and clear up an image to be able to determine what was going on at the platform. If there's an event or anything like that, we'll have the camera will allow us to zoom in on events.
And it will allow us to do screen grabs?
Yes, so the cameras do a continuous recording with 60-day retention. We can save footage, and it's saved, to the cloud or to a hard drive for unlimited amount of time. Once we save it, it's our footage. We keep it.
And what's going to be our redundancy policy for saving the footage and backing it up?
Number one, there will be limited access on who can, access the feed. Really, it's going to be central to the safety and security department. Myself and my coordinator us two will be the ones kind of handling this system.
Okay.
And we will look at creating maybe a drive or some sort. We'll work with our IT department to create a secure drive that we can store this footage in.
Okay. Thank you.
Patrick, if you could also, for the benefit of the board, if you could comment on the coverage that the system is going to enable us to have, including the coverage of the employee parking facilities that are across the street from CAT Central. But if you could talk a little bit about the comprehensiveness of the coverage of the cameras, please.
Absolutely.
Maybe the cost.
Absolutely. So for the coverage, we did get I did a site walk with the installation company, and they were able to give us excellent coverage options to include 4 cameras in the employee parking lot, which was a big concern with operators. Since I've joined CAT, I've discussed a lot of concerns with operators to try to fix them. And that was like a big one that I had heard several times was, we want to make sure we feel secure when we're getting in our cars, if there's something happens to our cars, things like that. So we will have full coverage in the employee parking lot. One thing about this company that they do as well is once they get the cameras installed, they can actually digitize our blueprint mapping of the buildings with the placements of the cameras. And in the event that we have a situation in the building that results in, us getting, law enforcement having to come out and things like that, we could actually share those blueprints with law enforcement, and they can use heat sensing tracking to track the movements inside the building along with the video feed. So it's a really high-tech software that we are getting for the amount of money. Now, in regards to the amount, I want to say the exact amount was let's see.
249, 331.
Right.
Yep, I knew it was in that range somewhere. So 249, we're getting the cameras. We're also getting a very excellent warranty coverage. We have 3-year warranty on the installation, 10-year warranty on all of the hardware, and then unlimited warranty on all of the software. So we will have, the system itself, when it has updates to the cameras, it'll automatically update. We won't have to go through what we've gone through now with DVRs and NVRs, updates and things like that. We also were able to include a security 24/7 professional monitoring service to the quote, which basically does the same thing that like a home security system does. If someone tries to break into your house and this security system will see it, they'll give you a call, and if you don't answer, they'll call law enforcement. Well, this system does the same exact thing for CAT facilities.
Will it give you remote access to the dashboard?
Yes,
When you're not, okay.
Yes. In the event we are in the quote, we are purchasing a viewing station. This station hooks up to a flat screen TV or a computer monitor and allows us to view video footage in real time on all of our cameras. In the event that I'm at home or I'm on I'm out of office, I can utilize a phone to look at the cameras as well.
Okay.
Question.
Director Lockett. Mm-hmm.
What is the life expectancy of this equipment?
So per FTA, their useful life expectancy is 10 years, which is the same as the hardware warranty. So if a camera fails in 5 years, we will be able to replace that camera at no additional cost, and use it for the 10 years. So we will be getting the full life expectancy out of these cameras per FTA.
Thank you.
And my question is, when it comes to the warranty on this equipment, what happens if lightning strikes it, or something happens, act of God happens, or do they still cover it, or we have to replace it ourselves?
Yes, ma'am. They cover it. They cover the shipping and handling of the broken camera back to their facility, as well as they cover the shipping and handling of a new camera to us. So we do not pay for any cameras or any shipping or anything like that when it comes to a camera replacement. It's a no questions asked warranty.
But we pay for the installation though.
We are paying for the installation of the camera initially, and we have a 3-year warranty on the installation. These cameras are very simple to install because they do not require a whole lot of wiring. It's almost as simple as I could myself could probably jump on a ladder and install it. It's a very simple system.
Adam.
Yes. How many cameras will we have, and what are the software update issues?
So we are looking at purchasing 86 cameras, and that is a mixture of camera types as well as interior and exterior placement. In regards to software, if there's a software update on the camera, I don't have to authorize it or request it or anything like that. The company automatically will update the camera as long as we have an active license, which we will. That's part of the purchase.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? All right. Did we take a motion in a second on that?
We did, yes, sir. We have a motion from Director Emister and a second from Director Stone. And if there's no further discussion, do a roll call vote, Chairman.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Director Emister?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Director Odell?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Stone?
Yep.
Thank you. Director Lockett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Halloran?
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. The motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got our CEO.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move into the Executive Director's report and unit updates.
Yes.
Under the Executive Director's update, I wanted to mention a few things that I think are exciting. Of course, appreciate your comments at the very beginning of the meeting regarding the EV rollout last week, and appreciate the strong turnout from this board, evidencing your support of all of the activity and progress that we're making. That was an exciting day and a very successful one. And then I think I also forwarded to you, I believe I did the metrics, the performance metrics from the actual deployment of those buses on the 2 routes that we're using them on Saturday. They performed extremely well. And so again, we're very happy to have the EV buses as a part of our fleet, and very happy with the successful rollout and event last week. Addition, I just wanted a couple things I wanted to mention. This Sunday will be our employee appreciation event.
Real quick, did you say you sent an email on Saturday about the buses?
I thought I did. If I did not, I will send it immediately following this. I got an email update on, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday, about the performance metrics, and I thought I forwarded it to you, but if I didn't, Director Edminster, I'll get it out right after this.
I just checked and I don't see it, but I'm very interested. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. I will get that out to you. The employee appreciation event for our CAT employees will be this Sunday. And also moving through the proposal for a Rider Appreciation Month will be presented in next month's committee meetings, and then ultimately at next month's board meetings. So I just wanted to give you a heads up to that. The Master Transit RFP is on the street. We are very proud of the scope for that project, and very proud to be bringing that forward. It's just a key, what will be a key ingredient in our success, our ongoing success. We also had some exciting news this week that GDOT reached out to us regarding transit signal prioritization, and they have offered to complete a project for us to install transponders on 10 of our buses on the Abercorn and Waters Avenue, the 14, 27, 28 routes, to enable us to move more efficiently through those corridors, and it will improve our on-time performance. The only other place in the state, we will be the second deployment in the state, the only one outside of Atlanta, but they've had incredible success with it, with bus operations in Atlanta, and we'll be working with GDOT and the city of Savannah to accomplish that project. So I'll be looking for some very good news coming forward on that as well. Wanted to remind you all about the Deloitte Business Chemistry email that you've gotten. Please be sure and complete that before our workshop. Super important that we have your input, and look forward to you all gaining the benefits of the business chemistry Deloitte experience. It's a good one. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention, I know you are getting the snapshots on Fridays. Hoping that, again, that's continuing to be a good routine method of communication with you. And of course, if you ever have any questions or comments, always feel free to call me or drop by. And with that, we will move into the service delivery and safety update. And I'll ask Mr. Dumas if he will present that material.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Cody and the Board of Directors, and to everyone that's on our call on today. Your service delivery packet is included in report is included in your packet. What I'd like to do, give you a presentation on our performance for fixed route and para and ferry services. So next slide, please. Our fixed route on-time performance is, compared to this time a year ago, it's down, but compared to a month ago, it's about the same as it was last month for fixed route on-time performance. Next slide. Our fixed route ridership, compared to this time a year ago, we're up. Our ridership is higher than it was compared to this time a year ago, and it's also up compared to this time last month. Next slide. Our paratransit on-time performance, it is down compared to this time a year ago. but it is up compared to this time a month ago, last month. And we also indicate that our top 5 performers for on time, Teresa Williams, Terry Grubbs, Nicole Lloyd, Lene Virgil, and Denise Clark, they're all 90% and higher on their on-time performance for paratransit service. Next slide, please. Our paratransit ridership, it is down compared to this time a year ago, but it's up compared to last month. So we're moving in the right direction, given the fact that we've had some challenges, but we have a class that we hired not too long ago. They're in operation, and we just started another class on this week for paratransit service. Next slide, please. Ridership, I thought we already talked about the ridership. If not, yes, thank you. Okay, mobility reservation. We're down compared to this time a year ago, but and we're about the same as we were last month. So the application is doing good at times. Other times it's not as well, but we still have participation where people are online making their reservations online. So we're glad that the app is still in process. Next slide. Our water ferry ridership, the numbers, when we look at this a year ago in March, we're higher than what we were a year ago, and we're higher than we were last month as well. So in spite of the many challenges we have in the ferry service, our ridership continued to peak. It's getting back into the peak season. Tourists use that, and as well as workers, to travel back and forth across the river. So that service is doing well. Again, we like to give a lot of credit to our manager, John Allen, keeping the staff and crew doing the very best that they can to keep that service up and running. So thank you, John. Next slide. Our maintenance means distance between vehicle failure target. We are down from what we were a year ago in March, but we're up from what we were last month, but we're still above the target range. So we've consistently been above the target range for our maintenance, upkeep of our equipment. Next slide. A call center, when we look at the waiting period, we still continue to perform well above our waiting period. So our customers are not having a pretty good experience when they're calling in and trying to get a response to their calls. The call center continues to do that, even with the increased number of calls. The wait time is less than 60 seconds. Next slide. We see here that our call increase is higher than it was a year ago, and it is higher than it was last month as well. So we still get customers concerned calling in about our service, but we're responding to those both electronically. We respond to those in person, email. We're answering those calls and being attentive as possible to resolve any issues or comments or complaints that our customers may have or experiencing. Our top 3 individuals, Kiera Leaks, Bashima Muslim, and Barbara Sanders. They're all our top advocates for the month. All of them do extremely well, but these 3 have been above in their average. Next slide. Our safety and risk management department, our accidents and injury, and as far as our fixed route and our DOT physicals for accidents, injuries, and DOT, we see that we had 1 preventable accident for the month of March. We had 1 non-preventable. We had 0 workers' comp claim for the month of March. We had 7 drug screens performed and 25 DOT physicals. Next slide. That concludes our presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be more than glad to entertain it at this time.
Dr. Rod.
Yeah, what's prompting this massive use of the ferry service?
Well, according to historically, this is the peak season. Once we get past February, it's just, tourism is our peak season from now until we get to the month of slowdown. I believe it's just before Thanksgiving. So we're entering our peak season.
Yeah, but what's going on in the island that everybody wants to go for? That's what I can't figure out. The center's barely holding any activities, and all that. The only other thing over there is a hotel. So it baffles me to understand why 60,000 people want to go over to the island. That's 2,000 a day to see what really. I mean, it's baffling.
Well, according to our marine director, manager there, tourism is a key behind this. They just want the experience riding across the river on the ferry
So it's
service.
strictly taking a boat ride.
That's correct.
Okay, there's no economic reason for them to go over there.
Well, and there, Dr. O'Halloran, I would add, there actually have been some events. And one thing that we've also seen is there have been some SCAD supported events recently that have also been a part of supporting increased use during that period of time. And again, it's a part of that, families are here and travel and tourism and so forth, but it's been around event-based things that we are seeing at some of these facilities that are also helping to, I think, support that demand.
Okay, yeah, just surprising. I mean, there haven't been any major conventions or anything scheduled that I've seen.
I would also mention that tomorrow we have a meeting with, I think I mentioned this to you in one of the committee meetings, but related to this, we also have a meeting tomorrow with Sammy that we are hosting the meeting. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is holding a strategic discussion around our history of partnerships and our where the ferry service is now, where it's been, where it is now, and where it is going, and how those partnerships will need to expand in order to support that. So we'll keep you obviously in the loop on the progress that we make in those discussions.
Okay, and I'm also very concerned about 40% drop in ridership on paratransit. Are these people just not going to their appointments and their trips to the stores? Or, I know we have shortage of drivers, but a 40% drop is pretty significant when we're dealing with a population that has no other way to get around Savannah or the county for that matter.
I think one of the things that's going to be helpful, I completely agree with you, Dr. O'Halloran, and we are certainly, Mr. Dumas and Ms. Arden and I all dig deeply into these performance metrics. One of the things that I think is going to be very helpful is, as a part of the reorganization, is how we're reorganizing some of our assets around paratransit, particularly from an operational perspective, so that paratransit and fixed route both really have a dedication of resourcing and effort and leadership around them that I believe is going to achieve, help improve our performance there, in addition to just the increases in hiring and all those other sorts of things that we know are in the background of this as well. So, but I appreciate your concern and we share it.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of cancellations and no-shows in the performance and I don't know if that's new. I don't ever remember seeing numbers that high on those particular areas. I don't know, are people just unhappy or are they just not doing what they normally do? I mean, something changed drastically. And I know it can't be medical appointments and food shopping, so it's got to be other things that they're just not doing anymore.
Mr. Dumas, did you have any further comment on that?
No, all the things that Dr. Halloran has mentioned are all, of course, a part of the concerns with the cancellation. A lot of it is also contributed to the fact that we're still about 50% down from what we need as far as operators and drivers. And so even though we're putting more passengers on the vehicle, the wait time is still being increased because we have the demand is so high. So with many of those reservations, they just canceled because of the longer wait or the longer trip it takes to get from one point to the other. But we will continue to work on all those areas. One, to get the drivers on board. And as Ms. Faye mentioned, that we will continue to work on areas to do improvement dedicated just to paratransit services.
And the no-shows hopefully will stop going down. That's a lot.
I got Dr. Robertson.
I just have one question. We're also using a contract service for paratransit, aren't we?
Yes, ma'am. We still use that. That's included in your packet as well. CRC. So that they have done. We have included in there the last 3 months. In the month of March, the numbers have increased. We have more riders, more scheduled trips for CRC.
Join the meeting.
Transported more passengers in the month of March than they did the previous month. And so they're tremendous help, but they too are struggling at times with their drivers as well.
So your numbers for ridership includes CRC as well in your report?
That's a separate report. So CRC number is included in the packet, but it's not included in the paratransit. This is the information that you have in the PowerPoint is strictly to our vehicles.
So the actual number of people getting service would be different if you added CRC.
That's correct. And I will confirm that with our manager, Ms. Baker. I don't believe she's on the call, but to my understanding, the report that we've been reporting to you is strictly on Chatham area transit number. That's why we put a separate number in for CRC.
Because I hear the concern, and I'm thinking if we're not actually including CRC as part of ridership, because we contract with them, maybe we're kind of misrepresenting the number of people that are actually using services.
Dr. Robinson, we'll go back and confirm that. I think your point to understand that is a valid one, absolutely. And so let us, Mr. Dumas and I will go back with the team today and make sure that we understand the fullness of the report, and we'll get back to you all on that as well. Thank you for those comments, though. All right. The next report is a report on a system development update. You have a report in your packet that includes the communications monthly report. Communications has done its always very outstanding job of making sure that we are represented in all of the media and social media, and have been doing just a great job on all of the success stories in terms of getting those out there for us. You've also got a monthly ridership report included, and if there are any questions, I'm glad to answer those. Otherwise, we will move to the finance report, and I'll ask Ms. Cutter if she would present the information on the finance report.
Good morning, everyone. I will be presenting this morning and providing a financial update for the month of March. We will start with a fiscal year 22 budget status display. For the month of March, expenses tend to be higher than revenues. That's pretty much been the look for most of the year. And it's primarily attributed to when tax funds are collected. We do anticipate a higher level of revenue for
Join the meeting.
Of May and the month of June. However, when you take a look at the year-to-date numbers, you see that revenues are $4.5 million higher than expenses. The expenses are under simply because of staffing shortages.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Real quick on the slide right before,
Mhm.
also I'd just like to say, like, overall, all these reports are looking really, really great. I do have a concern about this one being a line graph. I know this is kind of like a petty thing, but if it's a line graph, it makes me feel like I should be following the line, like it's happening through time. But really the month to date and the year to date are just two totally separate pieces of information. So maybe a bar graph could be more helpful with being able to understand that visually.
Okay.
Other than that, everything looks super great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This line graph, what it shows is the ended cash balance at the end of the month, and the year-to-date average is $5.9 million per month. Our cash receipts for the month of March are displayed. The special district taxes, a little over $218,000. Paratransit funds, that's a fixed amount spread over the fiscal year and reconciled at the end of the fiscal year. You see your per occupied room fees are up to $86,512. And this confirms what Mr. Dumas reported earlier, that the ferry, related to the ferry and the per room night fees, it's driven by room occupancy, the activities over on the island, and also, of course, occupancy of all of the hotels within the convention district. Revenue by category. Here again, the largest revenue category for us, of course, are grant funds, followed by Paratransit Chatham County, that pays 100% of the cost of paratransit services. Our expense category, no news here. Salaries and employee benefits makes up the highest percentage of operating expenses. Budget prep. I introduced earlier some of our challenges. Of course, as we transition back into the new norm, we should see agency service delivery increase, which has a significant impact on our revenue that we see. Another challenge that we have is building the reserve funding in accordance with our policy. Right now, we have a little over $4 million. So we have a little ways to go with that. And that will be considered as we bring forward the fiscal year 23 proposed budget. Some of the expense challenges, they're listed here, deals with some capital funding shortfalls. And what is the picture for longevity and incentive programs that we've recently implemented? Of course, that has an impact on expense, which has an impact on revenues. We are also examining as a way to retain employees, is taking a look at our employee benefits to see how we can enhance them at little cost. We also will be taking a look at financial planning for risk. Some of our balancing strategies are listed below. We did get the full year apportionment of the FY22 5307 funds. That was a little over $1 million more than budgeted, so that's great news. And what's going to help us as well is to put some of the operating savings into reserves so that we can rely upon them if needed as a part of the balancing process. Revenue on the revenue side, of course, the passenger fares are down. Hopefully, we'll see a trend upward as we began to get people back on the buses and the agencies to procure our services. The transit tax is above year-to-date projections, and that's been coming in pretty much as anticipated. On the expense side, here again, down due to position vacancies across the organizations, a little higher in the month. You'll see a little increase in the month of April because of the retention and recruitment bonus that was issued on April 1st in payroll checks. Mr. Dumas mentioned the CRC, supplemental paratransit support services. It did go up in the month of March in comparison to February of $9,549. The March billing was $12,173.90. Under other, we have the good news, as I mentioned early, notification of the full year apportionment that gives us a little wiggle room of a little over $1 million. The final FTA review, the final response will go in by close of business today. So we should be getting a final report. As I've been reporting for the past few months, there was an issue with the 35-foot electric bus drawdown. I'm going to request an amendment to address this issue, and that's related to some additional costs that were tied to getting the 30-foot electric bus up and running that have not been drawn down from the FTA as of yet. Procurement and compliance, we are still figuring out what's going to happen to CAT Central in defining the scope of that work now that we have a CEO. Her input is going to be very valuable in the final scope of work that will be released. Compliance monitoring continues. Great emphasis on the Coastal Regional Commission contract to ensure that the numbers are correct in terms of ridership and billing. We'll have a compliance review for paratransit services coming up in the next couple of months. DBE outreach and participation is scheduled for April. I just wanted to mention the result of DBE participation for the COA TDP. DBE participation is at 15.1%, and that is simply great news for Chatham Area Transit. And we are working on the scope for the Transit Master Plan, which will include a component of long-term financial planning. We're going to have to get very creative. The expenses are there, but the revenue side is going to require some work, the expense side as well. And I'm not sure what that means as of yet, whether we are looking at modifying services or thinking about more efficiencies in our services, but all of this will be spelled out clearly and give us a vision for the future as we plan financially. And that's my report. Are there any questions?
I have one, Stephanie, on the shortfalls that you listed on that one graph on the ferry and TDP, I believe it was. I think it's one further back on that one. The capital project funding shortfalls. Why are we having shortfalls in capital funding?
Okay, because you know, this is really an old grant. And at that time, the cost to construct a ferry boat was estimated at $1.6 million. Today, we anticipate that cost going up by hundreds of thousands of dollars. The same thing happened with the paratransit procurement. That figure went up tremendously, which impacted the number of new vehicles we could purchase. Originally, we were to purchase 34 vehicles. We can only afford 23 vehicles.
Yep.
So that's what this means.
One thing I would add to that, Dr. O'Halloran, obviously Stephanie did a great job of explaining that, but this is one of the as a part of the assessment that I've been performing since I've gotten here. This is one of our areas of concern is when we get these capital grants, we've got to have strong and effective grant management and capital project delivery. Because this is what can happen to you when these schedules get extended for any of a number of reasons. Sometimes things just happen, but really having a strong management system behind these things to get them from grant acceptance to delivery is critical. And this is a perfect picture of why, because costs go up and then you have to either revise the scope of the project or you have to revise the performance accomplishment that you were intending with it and so forth. Efficiency and effectiveness in how we deliver and administer grants is absolutely essential. And it's one of those performance metrics where we know we've got a lot of room for improvement and we're keenly focused on that.
Do they get upgraded by the FTA when there's a change in costs? Because that's predominantly an FTA grant for the ferry.
No, they expect us to get the grants and then to deliver them in a timely fashion based upon what at the time was contemporary cost estimates. So, you know, when there's delays for whatever reason, they don't come in and make up that difference. They're still relying upon your original grant application. We have to figure out the fix when we have these kinds of situations. My hope, though, is that with a really strong and Ms. Cutter and our planning manager and others, we've been working together to really put in place processes and grant administration emphasis in a way that we get ourselves, we move from grant to delivery in a really efficient, effective way. So the opportunities, it's really a function of risk management in the grant process in a way. It's making sure that you've got a scope you can deliver, you've got, you're ready, you've got the process in place to deliver it, and then you manage it to delivery so that it can get into operations and maintenance world.
So this is where we could have used our 5307 funds that we're spending on operations rather than capital to replace that difference on, like, say, the ferry order.
Yes, and Dr. O, also, it just states, and Mr. Massimo talked about this, the importance of managing grants and deciding which grants we're going after. We don't need to go after every grant because there are local match requirements for it, and sometimes we just won't be able to find a local match. So, and that was one reason why the grant sat for years, because of the absence of a local match. And then there was not enough revenue in the reserve funds to cover the local. So there's just a lot of pieces, and we are working to better manage the grant process so we don't find ourselves in this predicament down the road.
I think it's both a strategy and a management piece, as Ms. Cotto just described, Dr. O'Halloran and the rest of the board. And there are this master transit plan. One of the things that it will help us to do is to look at all those funding opportunities. And there are lots, there are literally hundreds of funding opportunities out there, but we shouldn't go after all of them. We need to go after the ones that really are strategic and make sense for us. We need to hone in on that, use that to complement what our master transit plan and other studies and efforts we're doing suggest to us will actually improve the performance of our system so that we can serve everyone here better. But then the other part of it is what we're doing right now in the reorganization with looking at both the talents and capabilities and so forth, and the resourcing that we put through on the staff side, to making sure we've got the right people with the right skill sets that understand how to manage these things and get them to delivery. This is why that is so critical. And I really can't say this enough, but the strategy and the management go hand in hand. And it's something that we're really focused on. And the good news is, I think that over the course of this next year, you really are going to see a fundamental difference in our approach and a fundamental difference in the outcomes, so that we don't have these kinds of, these kinds of matters that, end up being more costly to us, or certainly less time efficient, not performance driven and such.
And one last question. I noticed we were talking about ordering 24 paratransit vehicles. Has that been ordered? I noticed that on the replacement list, there's only one paratransit vehicle going out, according to the FTA. What are the 24 replacing?
It's my understanding it's replacing fully depreciated vehicles, the 23 that we have on order.
And are we going to have drivers to operate these 23 new vehicles?
Well, the paratransit applications are coming in.
Okay.
We have a class underway as we speak. So they're getting applications for the paratransit operator positions.
All right. I know the grants are specific, but there's no way to lateralize that money from paratransit over to the ferry, unfortunately, so that one or the other probably could be taken care of.
All right.
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And with that concludes my report and the unit updates, Mr. Chairman, and we would ask that we move to executive session.
I'd like to thank the CEO and staff for a very detailed and transparent report. Director Edmiston.
Real quick, Sherry Spinks reached out from the convention center and sent me a calendar for 2022 and 2023, which I have forwarded to y'all. It looks like, and I'm kind of surprised as well to share Dr. O'Halloran surprised, they are booked across the river. So I think we should be expecting that number to possibly even only go up. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on over there.
I think the level of activity around events and things as you're describing, Director Edminster, we're hearing it and seeing it, and we're seeing the demand in real time. And so, but we also have great opportunity in that. So it's a good time. It's good to feel like things are returning.
Thank you for that, Director Edmiston.
And I just have one other reminder. We need to set the calendar for the next 6 months for the board meetings as soon as possible. We're already into May, and that starts July 1st.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. O'Halloran. We'll have that on May's agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, before we go into executive session, we'll be going into to discuss and deliberation on personnel and attorney-client discussion of actual or potential litigation claims. I'd like to take a motion in a second. Go into executive session.
Second.
Emerson? We may have just lost Director. Okay. Director Odell?
Beverly,
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Butler. Yes, sir.
I thought maybe we'd lost everyone before we took the vote to go into executive session.
Not quite. We lost Director Emister, I believe, but we still have the other members on.
No, he's still here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Director Emister?
If you're asking if we're going to executive session, I approve.
Thank you, sir. Director Odell?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director O'Halloran?
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Motion passed. I will set breakout rooms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
joined the meeting.
Chairman, we are all back in the main session now.
Thank you. Looks like everybody made it back. I would like to say that no votes or anything was taken in executive session today. Do we have any old or new business?
Just one thing, if we could get a copy of where we are as far as the reorganization and what we're still missing as far as personnel, and of course the Chubb contract date of expiration. I know a lot of them come up in and around June, so I'm not sure when that one's due. I don't remember voting on that in the past. I know we voted on the health insurance, the liability insurance, but I don't remember a direct vote on Chubb's indemnification contract.
Michael, I took a look. I just typed in, did you lose me? I typed in Chubb and Cat and found most of those are July 1st through July 1st.
Yeah, that's our fiscal
But
year.
let's get
It depends on what, they can be more than yearly contracts, so that could be a 3 or 5.
The
I
Chubb
don't know
one
how
looks
long
to be every year.
Everything else is, all the other ones are variable, so they have to be done on a yearly basis. Our insurance changes amounts like every year, up or down, usually up.
Dr. O'Halloran, in response to your comment, we will get you the exact answer for the entire board on the current, this particular contract that we have that we've discussed today. And then we will also, as a matter of fact, we'll get you the terms on all of them because several of them we're in the renewal period right now. So we'll just get you all the renewal period information and get that sent out to the board for your information. We'll also get the latest, which is nearly final version of the org chart out. We are in process right now. We are continuing to interview candidates. Sort of to just give you the top line, we are continuing to interview candidates for the CAO position. We are about to start an expansive recruitment for the COO position. We still have, you recall, an interim COO with Mr. Dumas for right now. And then I'm going to continue to do dual duty with the CPDO position for now. That one is certainly, I think in terms of the activities there, we've got it staffed appropriately and it's probably a better fit right now. We need to get our COO and our CAO positions filled. Those are anchors and really important. And of course, we have, I believe, the best CFO in town. So I think we're in very good shape, but we're also nearing completion with the with the reorg and we're just starting to fill the positions at the manager and chief level.
So who do we have? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman also. So who do we have filling in our other positions of our resignees and in our different departments? Do we have somebody filling in those departments or we just pushing them over to someone else?
No, sir. The HR position, we previously had a chief human resources officer. We no longer have that position. We have a human resources manager, and Laura Williams fills that position. It currently rolls up under the CFO. But once the CAO is in place, all those administrative functions of which human resources management will be a part will roll up under that chief position. And then on the systems, I don't recall the exact name now off the top of my head, but the systems development marketing kind of position, the chief in that position no longer exists, and we will be eventually recruiting for a chief planning and development officer because it's so important that we build up the planning capacity, which we just didn't have. So we have a planning manager that's operating in that department, but right now I'm serving in both of those roles as the CEO and the CPDO. I'm sort of riding herd over that until we fill that position.
Okay, when we finish the restructuring, and I guess when we start hiring on, can we also with Dr. O'Halloran get a copy of what that chart looks like?
No, so that's what I'm going to send out to you. I'm just going to send the chart out as it stands today to everyone, and we'll also include on it the names of when there are people who are actually serving in positions now, and then we'll show which ones are vacant. We've made a lot of progress in a short period of time. And I'm very, very pleased.
All right. Do you have any more questions? Before I adjourn this, I got Director Adams. You're on mute.
Yes, sir. Do we already have these positions budgeted?
We do, sir.
Thank you.
Before I adjourn this meeting today, I understand we need to send out a congratulations to Vice Chair Stone for her new twin grands. Congratulations.
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 Now you got more work, Helen.
You on mute. Director Stone, you on mute.
Thank you so much. They were born during the meeting.
Oh, no, great.
Congratulations, Granny.
William Harris weighed 5'7", and Wallace Banks weighs 5'3". So we're good.
Congratulations.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, with no other business at hand, I thank everybody for attending today's meeting. I think it was very informative and very transparent. And with that being said, I'd like to adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.